Hi, Arjuna.
Hey,
This
hi,
is
Andy.
Arjuna Ada from Grass Valley, California. And Arjuna is going to be coming up to Truckee on this coming Friday, the 4th of March. And he's going to be doing what is called a Radical Brilliance Weekend Intensive, is going to be Friday evening, all day Saturday, and all day Sunday. So my name's Andy Hill, and I'm the director of For Goodness Sake. First of all, Arjuna, why don't you start out by telling us a little bit about yourself, and also then you can share a little bit about what the Radical Brilliance Weekend Intensive entails.
Sure. Well, my name's Arjuna Arda, and I'm the founder of Awakening Coaching, which means that I'm basically a coach more than a teacher or anything. I write books as well. Radical Brilliance is really where mysticism or awakening and creativity find their common ground. We don't always think of those two things as being belonging in the same bed together. So mysticism or spiritual life is most often thought about as relaxing into a more spacious, free, limitless consciousness. Creativity is, writing and painting and creating things and making products and doing new things. So Radical Brilliance recognizes the difference between imitative programmed thought. In other words, just doing things that you've been taught to do by somebody else, as opposed to allowing an impulse to arise out of nothing, a fresh impulse to be able to think thoughts that have never been thought before and to say things and do things that have never been done before. So Radical Brilliance is a way to allow someone to get more and more stable in this realization of true nature, but for that to overflow into being brilliant, into being the very best that you can be, not because you are making effort, but because you're relaxing into allowing something to flow through you.
Wow, that's pretty radical, as you say. So what's the process? How does this work? Like sorry, go ahead.
Well, in the weekend, we focus on some very specific tools that have very specific and very reliable outcomes. So one of the tools we work with is called Radical Awakening. We use the word radical a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Radical Awakening means to have a direct realization in this moment of limitless consciousness. So of course, thoughts are moving and feelings are moving. So there are all these thoughts and feelings swirling that create the appearance of being a person. That's what creates individualized reality. But actually, the thoughts and feelings are swirling in something else, in a bigger context. When we recognize that, and everybody has realized that, at least in moments, we realize the silence in which sound is arising. We realize the stillness in which movement is arising. We realize boundaries dropping away, so feeling like one with everything. Of course, you can have that kind of experience through drugs or through amazing sex or bungee jumping or something, but you can also have it through particular practices and processes that are very reliable. So we're going to be doing that in the weekend. We're going to make sure that everybody who comes to the weekend has a clear, doubt-free, stable realization of being this infinite consciousness, being that which was never wounded, which was never born, could never die, being the source. Like Jesus said, Jesus said, I and the Father are one. And I think many of us today, we have to make up our minds, is Jesus the great exception or the great example? So when Jesus said, I and the Father are one, are we willing to also embrace that realization where who you are and the source of all creative intelligence is the same? We're going to make sure in the weekend, everybody who comes has that realization in a stable way, that we can also dissolve any doubts about that being true. Now, the other thing we're going to use in the weekend, another radical word, is radical releasing. We're going to be noticing the contracted thought forms like I'm not good enough, nobody's going to listen to me, there's not enough time, all of the coagulated thoughts which prevent the gift from being given. We're going to use a very, very simple, short practice to cause those to melt and to dissolve. So the result of the weekend is whatever your particular gift, whether you're an artist or a mother, or whether you plant a garden, or whether you work somewhere, the weekend allows more brilliance to flow through you because you relax more deeply into the source of where brilliance comes from.
Wow. And does for this, does someone have to like have an established spiritual practice?
No,
Or is it,
no, you have to have the willingness to be curious about your true nature. You simply need to be willing to be curious about who is hearing, who is seeing, who is feeling in this moment. It requires the necessity to be curious about what is already true. And obviously I've been doing this a very, very long time. I've been doing this about 25 years now. So I'm quite familiar with the tricks that bypass things being complicated and bring you directly back into simplicity.
And what just tell us a little bit more, if there is such a thing, about a potential end goal, or what someone can expect to see at the end of this, or what kind of a journey it's going to take them on.
Yeah, so that's a good question. So we actually work with a couple of very important questions in awakening coaching. This is the definitive book on awakening coaching, Better Than Sex. And there's a question here that is really fundamental to everything we do. Very, very important question that we can ask ourselves. And here's the question. I'll hold it up for you. What is my deepest longing? Right? That's like the core question. So what is it that I really long for? And that question, if you can really ride it, surf it like a wave, that question takes you back into why you're here, why you're on the planet, why you're alive. What is your dharma? What is the gift you have to give in this lifetime? When we relax more deeply into that question, why am I here? Why am I alive? What is my deepest longing? You realize that actually everybody's, you talked about outcome, everybody's outcome is actually personal. Everybody has actually a unique and personal reason for being on the planet, which is, in India, they call it your dharma, your unique gift that can only flow through you. When you fall into that and relax into that, and it gives itself through you, as I think is certainly been the case for me, and I guess for you too, and for many people, when you know that you're doing the right thing, you're fulfilling the role you were born to fulfill, you relax, things become simple and easy and flowing. So the weekend is to support you for that to be more true.
So if
the
I understand,
outcome is very personal.
Yeah. So if I understand it, the actual, perhaps the details of an outcome is what someone might be actually doing in their life. The kind of lifestyle or the life that they might pursue is different for everybody. But does it leads to a certain type of, say, fulfillment or joy, or how would you describe that? What words would you use for
Well,
that?
yeah, and I think really, in the way that we work, I really encourage people to get clear about their own outcomes. I encourage people to really get clear about, what is it I long for? What's important to me? I don't put any restriction on that, but definitely falling more deeply into the realization of your true nature and allowing more brilliance to flow will be kerosene poured on the fire of any outcome that you want. If you want to make money, being brilliant will allow you to make more money. If you want to if you want to have an incredible relationship, being brilliant will make the relationship better. Brilliance means allowing that infinite, mysterious presence which gives us all life to shine more vibrantly through you. And it's turning the volume up on that is absolutely going to enhance whatever is important to you, whatever your life is about. I think it's incredibly important not to set up standard outcomes for everybody, because everybody's, I mean, we are all made of the same stuff, but at the same time, every expression of humanity is unique and different. And our job with awakening coaching is to help you shine more brilliantly in the gift you have to give. So if you're a writer, you write more brilliantly when that amplifies itself. If you're an artist, your paintings become more brilliant. If you have a business, you come up with more creative solutions to business challenges. If you're a parent, you parent more brilliantly, but you parent more brilliantly by relaxing into the source that gives us life and allowing it to shine more in what you do. So I work with creative people, I work with leaders of businesses, I work with entrepreneurs, I work with people who want to bring more original mojo to their lives.
And what about, I mean, there seem to be a lot of people that, they do the things like they get the best grades at school, and then they go to college and they do well at college, and then they go out and they get a job that, maybe something that is interesting for them, but they seem to just kind of follow that road of acceptability, expectation from, maybe their parents and they're relatively successful, but they reach a point where they kind of recognize that there must be more. There's some, I don't know, a golden nugget or something that they're missing, even though they might, have quite a nice family and all the things that they need. And yet, how does that fit in?
Well, I think, Andy, we have to really understand the difference between imitative thought and original creative impulse. Imitative thought is really about doing what other people tell you to do, thinking the thoughts that other people tell you to think. That's the nature of imitative thought, you see. And honestly, unless we pay some attention to it, unless we attend to it, most of us are running most of the time on repetitive, regurgitated thoughts. Almost every belief you have is just, almost every belief you have is regurgitated from something that was given to you. Every time you read a book and repeat it, it's regurgitated. Every time you fit in with anything or conform to anything. So you talked about somebody getting good grades, going on, doing the right thing. Very often that kind of life, even if you're successful, there's no original impulse in it. It's just repeating what you've been told to do and what you've been told to say. So we're breaking that. And it's important to understand that the process of being brilliant, of something originating out of nothing, it's the difference between Newtonian physics and quantum physics. In Newtonian physics, A causes B, B causes C, C causes D. It's a chain and event reaction which is predictable. In quantum physics, everything is disappearing and appearing out of nothing, disappearing and appearing out of nothing. Everything's dissolving into nothing, reappearing out of nothing, which actually allows for magic. A lot of the things that are detected in a quantum field, in quantum physics, are magic. A small subatomic particle disappears here and reappears here. How did that happen? There was no path between the two. Or it appears in two places at the same time. This is all magical. And you can actually live in a magical way by allowing things to dissolve back into the unified field, which is your true nature, infinite consciousness, and to emerge from out of there. It's a completely different way of having thought. Instead of thought being repeated with the mind on automatic, your mind becomes quiet, and out of that quietness, an impulse arises, which is original, brilliant, and creative.
Yeah. So do you want to give us just a little bit of a layout briefly of how the weekend's going to go?
Yeah, I can tell you some of the things we're definitely going to do in the weekend. On Friday night, we really go deeply into the examination of longing. Why are you here? What is it that gives your life depth and meaning and purpose? longing. That's the first evening, Friday evening. On Saturday, we go deeply into this radical awakening I spoke about. So I can pretty much guarantee that everybody in the weekend is going to have a direct, clear experience of being this infinite consciousness. At least in a very indisputable taste. I'm not saying you're going to be permanently, glued to that, but at least without any doubt, a taste of being limitless, of being silence, of being the creative source. And then what we're also going to do on Saturday is start to recognize the contracted beliefs and thoughts that interfere with that flowing. And I'll show you how we can dissolve them in just a few minutes. I'll be there with other coaches as well. So we'll show you how we can easily just allow these thought forms to evaporate, which leaves you more free and more spacious. And then on the Sunday, we'll get into actually once you've opened up that creative source, we'll focus more on the practical embodiment of that. Like, what exactly are you going to be doing in your life to allow this gift to flow? What is it that gets in the way? Very important question also. What is it that interferes with that brilliance shining through you?
And once someone's taken that workshop, are they left with kind of practices to do to continue?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's coaching, so I imagine to be a very small group in Truckee. So it's coaching. We focus on you individually and give you methods that you can integrate. Now, of course, there's a certain amount of discipline. Not that it's difficult. It's just not habitual. It requires retraining yourself instead of living on repetition and imitation to live on this creative sourcing. But we absolutely give you tools, and as well as a lot of written and video and audio material you can use afterwards to stabilize what we teach you.
Wow, that sounds great. So let's just repeat. It's going to be this coming Friday, the 4th of March, and Saturday the 5th, and Sunday the 6th. And that's at For Goodness Sake. It's in downtown Truckee.
I'm looking forward to spending time with you, Andy, my brother.
Yep. Do you want me to just give contact information?
Sure, go ahead, yeah.
Okay, you can find out more about it at www.goodnesssake.org. That's goodness and then sake, so there's 3 S's altogether, .org. That's the website for Goodness Sake. And the phone number for more information is 530-550-8981.
Beautiful.
So,
great.
And you could also go visit Arjuna's website, which is
arjunaardagh.com. ARJUNAARDAGH.com.
Great. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you this weekend, Arjuna.
Beautiful. Thank you, Andy. Very nice to hang out together.